Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And what a beautiful day it is today. Can I say thank you to Amanda for the weather forecast? She says, Ginge, it's going to be 26 today, highs of 26. However, it's going to feel like 29. I've got to be honest, it feels absolutely lovely this morning. Slight breeze, but nothing too extreme. A little bit of haze up in the sky with very, very thin cloud. So all in all, I think today is going to be an absolutely very hot and glorious day. Jane had her second jab yesterday, so she's had her vaccination. I've got to be honest, it didn't seem as busy there for her second one as it did feel for her first one. We didn't have to wait very long at all. In fact, I think we spent longer sitting outside waiting for the 10 minutes after the jab than what she did last time when we were queuing for what felt like ages. But anyway, that's the weather forecast at the moment. It's looking glorious, looking lovely. I think we're in for a very hot weekend. Also interestingly as well, it's a bit of an arrivals day, and I'll go through the arrivals as well that we've got today. We've got about 6 flights coming in from Poland today. We've got 2 coming in from Amsterdam. We've got 1 coming in from Vilnius. Hopefully that won't be hijacked as it comes over to the country like the last flight to Athens was earlier in the week. And we've also got 1 flight that's coming from Corfu, but I think that's just dropping people off basically, or picking people up going up to Thessaloniki. And we've also got the shuttle flight in with Sky Express. I've not heard any feedback about yesterday's flight from Liverpool. I understand the flight arrived, but I've not heard anything, any information about how that flight went, and whether there's going to be any more flights coming from the UK at the moment, while we are still waiting for the verdict. And in fact, somebody said, Ginge, we've just had our flight cancelled. I'll get to those comments anyway. But let's have a look at the news anyway for today, because a bit has been going on, actually, to be quite honest, in the last 24 hours, and give you all the COVID stats and everything else that's been going on. Just waiting for the old picture to click round, and it has. Oh, look at that creature there. Bloody hell. That's a size. Right, okay. Let's have a look then at the weather then. Oh, sorry, we've done the weather, haven't we? May the 28th today, and it's a Friday. Can't believe it's Friday, can you? And this week has been shooting by. Anyway, COVID in the last 24 hours, I'm afraid it's bouncing up and down a bit is the best way to describe it. Yesterday, we had 1,517 new infections. Today, I can report that that's gone up to 1,905 new infections across the country. There were 3 new cases that were identified after checks into the country. That was up on yesterday where we had 0, but we've had 3 new cases identified. When it comes back to the national stats at the moment of cases on the islands, at the moment Macardo has had 1 new case identified. Kefalonia has had no new cases identified, which is good. Corfu has had 19 new cases identified, so at least their numbers seem to be going down. And Zakynthos, guess what? No national stats saying that we've had any new infections, and there's been nothing in the local press to substantiate there has been any infections. So all in all, at the moment for the month of May, we've had 38 infections, which is good, considering that last month we had 177 for April alone and 184 for March. All right. So again, yeah, the numbers are now starting to drop off. Now, when it comes to deaths as well, those numbers are down across the country. Last time I reported to you 44 deaths. Yesterday, it's been reported now that we had 39 new deaths across the country. Again, 96% of those people had underlying health problems or were over the age of 70. When it comes to cases in incubation, that's also down as well. 547 was the last number reported, and today it is 540 critical cases at the moment in ICUs across the country, of which 337 are male and 203 are female. Once again, I've just got to emphasize, we don't know how many of those people from the numbers that have decreased are actual deaths or whether they've actually got better and obviously been put into a lower phase of observation. But again, that is something that the Greek government hasn't been doing for a long time as to how many people actually get well. Right, now, when it comes to the news then, interesting, the top story at the moment here on the island is that a 36-year-old man was admitted to the University Hospital of Patras, which is in Rio. He was admitted from the General Hospital of Kefalonia. Now, it seems that he'd only just a few days he'd been vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. However, he started to show signs of thrombosis. Anyway, according to information, the 36-year-old had the Johnson & Johnson vaccine about 10 days ago. While it's being investigated whether the complications that he's suffering is from the vaccine. So at the moment, the jury's out on that, but just be aware that he is now over there in Rio, which is a much more senior hospital, obviously being checked out to see if there is a problem. Anyway, also as well, looking at the Zakynthos Hospital at the moment, the president of the Association of Employees of the Zakynthos Hospital, Mr. Guillermoulos, said on Hermes Radio, said that there is a need for permanent staff appointments to the Zakynthos Hospital, which due to the COVID has been emphasised by the fact that approximately 100 contracted staff, which had recently strengthened the number of staff at the hospital, those contracts are likely to expire on the 30th of October 2021. Now, Mr. Gomeris underlined that these staff filled gaps that existed in the hospital even before the arrival of the pandemic, and following the line that has already been drawn publicly with Podim, the medical people. He said he underlined that the recruitment of 4,000 nurses that were announced in advance did not cover the gaps that already existed in hospitals located in places such as Crete and also in Zakynthos. Now, Mr. Galomis said the needs will not cease once the pandemic has gone. He said we also have tourism as well. The hospital comes under a lot more stress once the tourist season starts and sees their workload increase with people getting themselves into trouble while they're here on holiday. He's actually asked that the contracts that have been given to 4,000 staff across the country, that these contracts should in fact then become permanent positions for people once the contract, the temporary contract has expired. So again, we're going to keep an eye on that story because again, as we've already said, the hospital has struggled in the past with staff and we'll see if anybody heeds that some of these temporary contracts could in fact become permanent contracts for people already filling vital roles in hospitals. Another interesting story that came up when we were talking about vaccinations, the Hellenic Society of Obstetricians and Gynecology, the HSOG, they issued new guidelines on Wednesday saying that while all available COVID-19 vaccines are considered safe, pregnant women should, if they have the option, choose one of the two mRNA vaccines available in Greece, which are the Moderna and also the Pfizer, rather than the viral shot vaccines. The HSOG also strongly recommends that all pregnant women are vaccinated against COVID-19 to reduce the risk of hospitalisation in the event of the infection or premature birth, even though 73% of pregnant women who have tested positive for the virus have been asymptomatic. Anyway, the HSOG added that the vaccines are safe at all stages of pregnancy. The expert body said women who are planning pregnancy, receiving fertility treatment or breastfeeding should also be inoculated and are advised to use any vaccine available to them. Well, all I'm going to say is just one word: thalidomide. That's it. Your choice if you want to vaccinate and you're pregnant. Personally, I would think don't do it. That's me personally. Anyway, we'll wait and see what comes and see if anything happens as well in the way of pregnant women and the vaccine. I think at the moment it's a bit early to say whether there has been an effect or not. Only time will tell. Anyway, interestingly as well, this is a big thing. We have a lot of Greek Australians here on the island. The Australian state of Victoria, which includes the city of Melbourne, has been placed under hard lockdown due to the increasing numbers of cases of the Indian variant of COVID-19 in that region. It must also be remembered that the population of Victoria is over 6.8 million, with Melbourne having around 5 million residents. Now, what their numbers are at the moment, I don't actually know, but knowing the way that the Australian government has been really tightening up, Jane and I this weekend, we met a couple of Australians here who are desperate to get home back to Australia, but at the end they're having to stay here because basically they don't want to be put into quarantine when they arrive home at their own expense, and they'd rather sit it out here and wait for the situation to change. So again, we'll keep a little eye on that story as well. Anyway, Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis was being interviewed in the German newspaper yesterday about how Greece is going to fare during the forthcoming season. He says, basically, Mitsotakis said that tourism arrivals in 2020 were down by 75% compared to 2019, but he's optimistic that the vital tourism sector can recover another 25% of the lost ground. He said he urged German tourists to visit the country. He said, I believe the trends are optimistic. They should come to Greece after this pandemic. I am sure that people all want to travel. They will want to relax, he also said. Anyway, the summer is seen as a key to the country's chances of lifting its economy out of the mire of the COVID-19 pandemic, following an 8% fall in the GDP last year as restrictions hit the sector. So, positive the Germans are going to come. Listen, mate, you better sort it out. Make sure that the Brits are going to come. But then again, that's not in your hands. You're doing everything you can to make it easy for people to come from the UK. We just need Boris to basically make the decision that we can come, or our people can come. Anyway, that's the next door neighbour. Anyway, interestingly, at the same time as Mitsotakis doing his interview with the German media, the Digital Covenants Minister, Kyprianos Perakakis, he's going to present today a digital COVID-19 certificate that will help people travel more freely and open up summer tourism. Now, according to the Greek government sources, its official name will be the EU Digital COVID Certificate. Anyway, the scheme consists of a certificate confirming travellers are COVID-free by producing evidence of a proper vaccination against the coronavirus, having recently recovered from the infection, or having been given a clean bill of health, or having recently been tested negative for the virus. Anyway, government spokesman Aristotle Poloni said earlier on Thursday at a press briefing, Greece is ready to introduce the green certificate, and its official introduction at European level is expected on July the 1st. It will act as an express lane for all Europeans. It will facilitate border controls and consequently travellers. The presentation will be attended by the Vice President of the European Council, Charles Michel, and also the Vice President of the European Commission, Mariatis Skimas. So there you go. I like the word European, so I don't know about the Brits at the moment, because technically we're not part of Europe anymore, although we are technically kind of European. But we'll see if what Boris's feeling is going to be towards this, as whether we might be running something similar from the UK. And as again, it's the slippery slope to freedom. Anyway, and finally, a really great story, and I've got some pictures to go with this story. Greece welcomed on Thursday the historic Spitfire from the Hellenic Air Force, which was last seen flying through the skies back 68 years ago. Can you imagine that? Anyway, MJ755 flew over Athens, once again returning from the United Kingdom, where it was fully restored, and it is now returned in a flight-worthy condition. Now, MJ755 made her first engine runs in late December 2019. In January 2020, she was ready for her first flight, which was conducted by veteran British pilot Peter Kinsey. The Spitfire landed on Corfu, then at Ionia, and then from then on it flew to Tatoi, which is just north of Athens. Upon entering Greek airspace, it was given an honour escort by Greek fighters of today. In total, the Spitfire flew for 10 hours from England to Athens. And basically, MJ755 was one of the 77 Spitfires that were presented to the then named Hellenic Royal Air Force, which were then used to obviously help build Greece's fleet. And I've got a picture here of it as well. For those people that are quite up on your aircraft recognition, just waiting for this to switch round. Are we going to switch round, please? Are we going to switch round, or are we not going to switch round? I got a feeling we're not going to switch round. Or are we going to switch? Yes, we're going to switch round now. Fantastic. Just going to show you the picture of the Spitfire. There it is, flying. You'll notice that the tips of the wings are cut short. The reason for that is because this particular variant had been altered through its lifetime, and the last variant that it was altered to was a photo reconnaissance variant Spitfire. What that basically meant was that they clipped the wings at the end, they took all the weapons out, they put cameras in, and the cockpit was also pressurized so it could actually fly at a higher altitude than most normal Spitfires could. But anyway, it's still a Spitfire. It's still a beautiful beast. And there she is in Corfu, touchdown there where she stopped obviously to refuel before continuing on her journey over to northern Athens to the air base there. So once again, great to see that aircraft flying again. Beautiful. I love the noise they make as well, Spitfires, the sound of the Merlin engine. Right, so there you go. That's the news for today. I'm just going to quickly look at some of the comments because I've seen people rushing to put comments in. Big shout out to Lindsay Lamb, who's tuning in at the moment. Nice to see you. Hilary Rogers is also tuning in as well. Julie Meldrum, nice to have you looking in. Melissa Rogers is tuning in as well. Julie Meldrum is watching. She says, oh, Hilary says, morning, Ginge. Julie Meldrum is watching. She's watching quite a few times, Julie Meldrum. Oh, that's because it's not scrolling forward. Come on, scroll down. Melanie, there's, oh God, I think because people are adding comments, it's, come on. I'll go to the bottom and then work my way back up. Andrew Geach is watching. Heather Nash is watching. Shane Bowen says, Galimera Ginger, can't believe we are looking to have a hot and sunny Maybank holiday. Laugh out loud. Looking forward to your sets later on. Yep, that's it. It's a busy day for me today because I've got two shows basically going out today. One is my live requests and inspiration show, and then tonight 7 p.m. UK time, it's my dance anthem show. My last dance anthem show has done really, really well in the Mixcloud charts. I was really quite shocked at how well it's done. So make sure if you can come and join us. All right. Oh God, I cannot read these comments. Morning, Ginge. We've just had our 8th of the 6th flight cancelled and we're gutted. Who said that to me? Melissa Vickers. Anyway, thanks for that, Melissa. So you've had your June flight cancelled. I know there's been talk about, I think, off the top of my head, one of the major companies has cancelled flights up until about the 15th. Once again, just to remind you, they may have cancelled your flight, but they might not have cancelled all their flights. Sometimes if they haven't got enough people on a particular flight, they may cancel it because they don't see it economic viable to run that flight. And so they may offer you another date, or they may offer you another location which might be reasonably close to where you already are. But again, if you've had your flight cancelled, once again, if they offer to move you to another date for free, take it. If they offer you vouchers, refuse it and ask for your money back. All right, that's it. And also, if you book a flight, book it on a credit card, not a debit card, because you will get your money back with that. And also make sure it's an ABTA associated holiday company that you're booking with as well. Also, who else we got looking in? Tim Crystal says, morning, Ginge. Nice to have you looking in, Tim. At the moment, it's jumping backwards and forwards. To be honest, I'm going to give up trying to talk to people at the moment because for some reason it keeps jumping backwards and forwards and not letting me scroll down. Right, okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Once again, just to remind you that tomorrow, really big day. Magdalena's is going to be open tomorrow evening from 6 o'clock. We're going to see how things go. Obviously, we're still waiting for the music ban to be lifted because once the music ban is lifted, we can obviously start entertainment again. You can start enjoying your sport. You can just enjoy music as well. I obviously are able then to go back to work. So again, we're hoping Mitsotakis is going to say something either today or tomorrow to clarify the position in regards music, also the position in regards people being inside and eating inside. Everything has to be done outside at the moment, and again we need clarity on that as well. And also the restriction on the 12:30 lockdown. A lot of people yesterday online writing that they want to see that lifted, go back to the normal time of whenever you want to shut, you can shut, because if anything, it's better in the long run. It means, one, there's money going into the economy. If we're still having to social distance and social practicing, people can make their minds up when they've had enough and they can go home, and people are not aimlessly walking around looking for places to go where they ultimately end up going down the beach, doing nothing but a load of damage on the beach, cause more pollution down there, and basically put more hardship on the locals in the way of having to clean and sort that all the time. So again, let's hope some common sense is going to come in up there, and that this curfew is lifted to a sensible time, because who wants to come on holiday and be told you've got to be in bed for 12:30? People just don't want to do that. Right, also once again, just to remind you, I'm on air again this afternoon, 3 p.m. UK time, which is 5 p.m. my time, and then my Beats Anthems dance anthem show, that goes out at 7 o'clock UK time, which is 9 o'clock our time. And don't forget, straight after me, it's Dave Pearce. All right, so he follows me, which is kind of cool. So anyway, that's it from me. I'll keep my ear to the ground. Sorry I can't talk to you, but at the moment, for some reason, my tablet is not letting me chase up stories on here, and I will speak to you again soon. You take care and have a great day. Ta-ra.